Inside Alaska State Prison, life in America's coldest and most isolated prison. There's a place in America where the cold doesn't just live outside. It lives inside the walls. A place so isolated, so unforgiving, that even the most hardened inmates struggle to survive it. Welcome to Alaska State Prison, where temperatures drop below -40 degrees, where darkness can last for months, and where once those doors shut, they don't just lock you in. They cut you off from the world. This isn't just another prison story. This is survival in one of the most extreme environments on Earth. Today we're going deep inside to uncover what daily life really looks like, how inmates endure brutal isolation, and the truth about what happens when the cold starts breaking people. Stay with me, because what you're about to see, most people couldn't handle for a single day. If you're into real, raw prison documentaries like this, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this story only gets darker from here. The most isolated prison in America, thousands of miles from major cities, surrounded by wilderness. Alaska State Prison isn't just remote, it's cut off. No nearby towns, no easy road access, and during winter, sometimes no way out at all. Blizzards can shut everything down for days. Flights grounded, supplies delayed, communication limited. Inside these walls, you're not just serving time, you're trapped in a frozen world. Arrival. For inmates arriving here, the journey alone feels like a warning. Hours, sometimes days, through empty, frozen landscapes. Inmate. When I saw nothing but snow for hours, I knew this place was different. First glimpse, then suddenly, it appears. Cold, silent, unforgiving. A facility built not just to contain men, but to withstand nature itself. Entering the facility, the moment you step inside, everything changes. Warmth doesn't bring comfort. It brings tension. Because here, everybody knows, there's nowhere to run. The cold that breaks men. The cold in Alaska isn't just outside. It seeps into everything. Into the walls, into the air, and into the people. Extreme temperatures. Temperatures drop so low that exposed skin can freeze in minutes. Even inside, heating systems struggle to keep up. Former guard. You could feel it, especially at night. Like the building was fighting the cold and losing. Infrastructure strain. Pipes freeze. Water systems fail. Sometimes, entire sections lose heat. And when that happens, inmates don't just get uncomfortable, they get desperate. Inmate adaptation. Inmate. You learn quick, layer everything. Socks, shirts, whatever you got. Or you don't sleep. Blankets become currency. Warmth becomes power. And survival becomes a daily negotiation. Psychological edge. But the real danger isn't the temperature. It's what the cold does to your mind. Darkness. In winter, Alaska plunges into darkness. For weeks, sometimes months, the sun barely rises. Inmate. You wake up, it's dark. You sleep, it's dark. After a while, you forget what time even is. Mental decline. Without sunlight, the human brain begins to change. Sleep patterns collapse. Mood swings intensify. And in a prison already filled with tension, that's a dangerous mix. Former staff. We saw more fights in winter. More breakdowns. People just snapping. Transition. Because in a place like this, it doesn't take much. A look. A word. Or just too many days in the dark. Violence in the freezer. Violence inside Alaska State Prison doesn't happen the way you'd expect. It's not always loud. It's not always immediate. Sometimes, it builds slowly, like pressure under ice. Tension build up. Men confined. Cold. Isolated. Every small problem gets bigger. Inmate. There's no escape. Not from the cold, not from each other. Eruption. And when it finally breaks, it's explosive, quick, brutal, and often unexpected. Guard response. Guards move fast. Because here, every second matters. In freezing conditions, injuries become deadly faster. Aftermath. And just like that, it's over. Silence returns. But the tension? It never leaves. transition. But what happens when isolation goes even further? When inmates are pushed beyond the general population into something far worse? Because deep inside Alaska State Prison, there are places where the cold is the least of your problems. Solitary confinement in subzero isolation. There's prison. And then there's isolation. Inside Alaska State Prison, beyond the main housing units, past reinforced doors and restricted corridors, is a place most inmates never want to see. Solitary. The walk to solitary. The walk there is deliberate, slow, controlled, because once you enter, everything changes. Former guard. You don't rush that walk. It's quiet on purpose. Let it sink in. Seeing the cell. This is it. A space no larger than a parking spot. Concrete on every side. No distractions. No comfort. Just you and your thoughts. Inmate. At first, you think you can handle it. The real punishment. Solitary confinement isn't just about being alone. It's about removing everything that makes you feel human. Sensory deprivation. Minimal light. Minimal sound. Minimal interaction. Days blur together until time itself starts to lose meaning. Inmate. You stop counting days. Then you stop caring what day it is. The cold inside solitary. And in Alaska, solitary comes with another layer. The cold. Failing heat. These cells aren't immune to the environment. Heating is limited, sometimes inconsistent, and when temperatures drop outside, they drop inside too. Former inmate. You'd press your back against the wall and feel the cold coming through it. Nighttime. The night gets worse. The silence deepens. The temperature falls. And sleep becomes a fight. Mental breakdown. But the most dangerous part of solitary is what happens inside the mind. Hallucination edge. Without stimulation, the brain starts creating its own sounds that aren't there. Voices that don't exist. Inmate. You start hearing things like someone calling your name, but nobody's there. Identity erosion. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and slowly, people begin to lose themselves. Former staff. Some inmates came out completely different, quieter, or worse, unstable. The tipping point. And sometimes, they don't come out the same at all. Breakdown incident. There are moments when the pressure becomes too much. When isolation turns into desperation. Guard radio. Unit 4, we've got a situation. Respond now. Response. Officers respond fast. Because inside solitary, a breakdown can escalate quickly. Aftermath silence. And when it's over, the silence comes back. Like nothing happened. Transition. But not every inmate fears solitary the most. Because in Alaska State Prison, there's another force shaping life behind bars. Something just as powerful and far more unpredictable. The inmates themselves. Their alliances. Their conflicts. And the unspoken rules that decide who survives and who doesn't. Prison politics in isolation. In most prisons, there are rules. Some written. Most not. But inside Alaska State Prison, those rules take on a different weight. Guys, here, there's no escaping the environment. And no escaping each other. Entering general population. The moment you step into general population, you're being watched. Not just by guards, but by everyone. Inmate voice actor. They size you up fast. The way you walk, the way you look, everything matters. The unwritten code. There's a code here. No handbook. No orientation. But break it, and you'll learn quickly. Dining hall tension. Where you sit matters. Who you talk to matters. Even what you say can carry consequences. Former inmate. You don't just sit anywhere. You sit where you're supposed to. Or you don't sit at all. Alliances and divides. Groups form naturally. Sometimes based on background. Sometimes based on survival. But in Alaska, isolation changes everything. Smaller group dynamics. Unlike larger prisons, the population here is smaller, tighter, more personal. Inmate. You can't disappear here. Everyone knows everyone. Tension between groups. And when conflicts happen, They don't stay contained. Because there's nowhere for them to go. The environment makes it worse. The cold, the darkness, the isolation. They don't just affect individuals. They amplify conflict. Winter aggression spike. Former staff. Winter was different. You could feel it. People were on edge, all the time. Patience disappears. Small disagreements escalate. And respect becomes everything. Power structure. Power inside Alaska State Prison isn't always obvious. It's not about who's the loudest or the strongest. Quiet authority. Sometimes, it's the quiet ones. The ones who don't need to speak, because their reputation speaks for them. Inmate. You know who runs things without them saying a word. The cost of disrespect. But in a place like this, respect isn't optional. It's survival. Minor incident escalation. A look taken the wrong way. A word misunderstood. That's all it takes. Confrontation. Inmate. You handle it right there, or it follows you. Resolution or violence. Sometimes it ends in words. Sometimes doesn't. Guards versus inmate order. Officially, the guards control the prison. Guard patrol. But unofficially, inmates control the balance. Former guard. As long as things stayed quiet, you let certain dynamics play out. Narrator. Because disrupting that balance can make things worse. Isolation changes everything. In a place this remote, these dynamics become intensified. More personal. More dangerous. No escape reality. In bigger prisons, you might transfer. Move units. Start over. Inmate. Here, there's no reset. You're stuck with it. Red triangle pointed down transition. But beyond the politics, beyond the violence, there's another reality few people ever consider. What it feels like to be completely cut off from the outside world. Because in Alaska State Prison, distance doesn't just separate you physically, it separates you emotionally, psychologically, completely. Total isolation from the outside world. In most prisons, no matter how far you fall, there's still a line connecting you to the outside world. A phone call, a visit, a letter, something that reminds you life is still moving forward. But in Alaska State Prison, that line doesn't just weaken. Sometimes, it disappears completely. The distance. This facility isn't just far. It's extremely far. Thousands of miles from major population centers. Surrounded by terrain that's unforgiving and often impassable. Travel reality. For families, visiting isn't simple. It's expensive, complicated, and sometimes impossible. Family member, voice actor, emotional restraint. We wanted to come, but getting there, it just wasn't something we could do. Limited communication. Phone calls are limited, short, and closely monitored. Inmate. You got minutes, that's it. You try to say everything before the line cuts. Letters as lifeline. Letters become lifelines. Words on paper. Carrying pieces of a world that feels further away every day. Inmate. You read it over and over. Like it's the only thing keeping you connected. The slow. At first. You hold on. You count the days. You wait for the next call. The next letter. Time passing. But slowly, things start to change. Inmate. Calls get less. Letters too. People got their own lives. Acceptance. And eventually, you stop expecting them. Emotional isolation. This is where isolation hits hardest. Not the physical distance, but the emotional one. Forgotten feeling. Feeling that the world outside has moved on without you. Inmate. After a while, it feels like you don't exist out there anymore. Identity loss. Without connection, identity begins to fade. Name versus number. You're no longer who you were. Not a son, not a friend, just a number. Time distortion. Time inside Alaska State Prison doesn't move normally. Routine loop. Days repeat. Meals. Counts. Lockdowns. Over and over. Inmate. One day feels like a week. Then suddenly a year's gone. Mental consequences. This level of isolation changes people. Withdrawal. Some withdraw completely, avoiding interaction, avoiding connection, emotional numbing. Others just stop feeling. Former staff. You could see it. People just shutting down. The breaking point. Because humans aren't built for this. Not this level of isolation. Not this level of disconnection. Internal struggle. And when there's nothing left to hold on to, transition. But while inmates fight to hold on to their sanity, there's another group inside these walls, facing their own kind of pressure. The officers. The ones tasked with maintaining order. In one of the harshest prison environments in America. Because in a place like this, the isolation, tension, doesn't just affect inmates. In a place like Alaska State Prison, the cold is constant. The isolation is real. Moves in a way few people on the outside could ever understand. For the inmates, it's a test of survival. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. For the officers, it's a different kind of weight. Maintaining order. In a place where tension never truly disappears. And beyond these walls, life continues. Unaffected, unaware. But inside, every day is a reminder. That isolation doesn't just separate you from the world. Call to action. If this story opened your eyes, if it made you think differently about life behind bars, then take a second to support the channel. Hit like, so more people can see what really happens inside places like this. Share this video, because these stories aren't often told. And subscribe for more deep, raw, and unfiltered prison documentaries.